to you. You are our guiding light, dispelling the darkness, leading us to eternity. Beloved group, we are in a dark night. Draw us to a new dawn, where the sun is eternal, above the clouds of despair. Almighty group, the tides come and go, but you are always near, like the moon that cannot part from the sky. Oh, divine group, we always remember your words of faith and love. Forgive our mistakes, shield us from temptation. Pujyatman, protect us always, wherever we must go, guide us. Whisper softly within our heart and soul. Om Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Gurave Almighty group, the tides come and go, but you are always near. We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is September the 13th, 2020, Sunday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is series 2018, class number 91. And now Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness and bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9, known as Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga, the yoga of royal knowledge and royal secret. Verse number 8. Nacha mam tani karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya udasina vadasina asaktam teshu karmasu. Keeping Prakriti under my control, I again and again send forth all those beings who are helplessly under the control of Prakriti, restricted by divine karmas. Divine karmas, God's deeds. It's a very broad statement. It refers to all souls. In order to properly understand, again I will remind you of Brahman and Prakriti. Brahman alone exists. Prakriti is his magical power. All that happens in and through Prakriti is only the magic of a magician. Only those who are deluded by the magic, for them it's a world of all the extended version of the world of time, space, causation. Those who are not deluded, there is nothing but Brahman alone. And that Prakriti goes into three modes. Through Sattva predominating Prakriti, Brahman plays the role of Ishvara, God. As Ishvara, he has threefold duties. Not threefold, I will explain more. There are 5 types of functions for God. And what are they? Srishti, he creates. Sthiti, preserves or supports the creations. Pralaya dissolves the creation. Anugrah, act of grace. And Tirodhan. Tirodhan is let this world disappear. Everything happens in your dream, but when you wake up, the whole dream disappears. It's what we call bhava pratyaya and pratyaya bhava. Things you experience based on projection of the vrittis. But all the projections are constantly supported by God's presence, Brahman. So, in the absolute state of truth, projections move away, they have no reality. Brahman alone is. And all the time you are experiencing the projections, you are not really experiencing the projections, because they didn't exist as a reality. Projections are not real. What is behind projections, what gives value to projections, that is the reality. And that's Brahman, the absolute. And that's the essential nature of every soul. Now, in relation to souls that are evolving, God's role becomes very profound. Firstly, to understand that the entire picture of the world process is focused on the evolution of the soul. Okay, hold off for a few minutes. So, Lord Krishna says, Lord Krishna is the Ishvara. That I perform all these godly functions, but I am untouched by all these deeds. न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीन वदासीनम asaktam teshu karmasu. O conqueror of wealth, I am indifferent and unattached to these karmas of mine. These karmas do not bind me, and I have explained those karmas. That means Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Anugrah and Tirodhan. Creation, preservation, dissolution, grace and effacement of the world process. मय्याध्यक्षेण प्रकृति सूयते सचराचरम हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्वि परिवर्तते. It is under my direction, presided by me, Prakriti brings forth the creation of beings consisting of all that is animate and inanimate. O son of Kunti, it is for this reason that the world continues to undergo endless modifications. So the purpose of Prakriti is Sattvic Prakriti, Rajasic Prakriti, Tamasic Prakriti. But Prakriti at this level, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, they are neither positive or negative. They are all positive for the soul. The three gunas can be used both ways. Promoting liberation. Then in that process, tamas has to be controlled. Let me give you a simpler way to understand. Each guna is positive as well as a negative. If you are deserving aspirant, tamas in you will allow you to become exceedingly relaxed and wake up from relaxation well energized. If you are not the deserving type, tamas in you will make you lazy, procrastinating, addicted to constant idea, I must rest, I must rest. So tamas creates lots of negative qualities. So in a very broad way, people always use tamas in a negative way. And rajas relates to distractions, lots of possibilities. But possibilities can be positive If you are a spiritual aspirant and know that God is supporting you, your possibilities are endless. On the other hand, rajas can make your mind buffalo mind. Mind that becomes narrow-minded and goes in many directions. So all the three gunas can be used as positive or negative. But basically, they are all proceeding from God, the divine Shakti. Another point to understand the role of Prakriti. There are countless souls, but all souls are not, they have not come to reach that state of pursuing the path leading to liberation. A deserving soul lives his life for four purposes: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Ethical value, material value, vital value, and liberation, spiritual value. So Prakriti in a human being who deserves allows all these purposes to be fulfilled. Your whole personality is flowing, and it is a flow of Prakriti. In animals, birds, trees, this is not possible. They cannot pursue the path of fulfilling the four purposes. They are under the restriction of instinct, and they are exhausting karmas. When karmas are exhausted or they are put into a proper position, they will come into human embodiment. But human embodiment is a great privilege. Another point to understand that in human embodiment, everyone is aware of subtle instinct, the instinct to exist all the time, the instinct to know everything, to be happy, implying Satchidananda. You don't have to go through the philosophical books to understand. But it is instinctive. Everybody wants to sustain his existence, his capacity to know, and his happiness. And therefore, when a spiritual movement is directed towards human embodiment, when spiritual movement becomes effective in human embodiment, then every individual soul goes after Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Goes after strength, how to have spiritual strength. and spiritual strength that will bring about divine virtues. To be patient requires strength. To be calm requires strength. To be understanding, compassionate requires strength. Behind that, all that we term Shakti. And as the Shakti proceeds, there develops bhakti, devotion to God. And this leads to mukti, liberation. Avajananti mam mudha manusi tanumashritam param bhavam jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. The ignorant are unable to understand me, who manifests in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the great Lord of all beings. While those who are spiritually sensitive, they become increasingly aware of discovering their essential nature. They become aware of the importance of following the path that is integral yoga, purifying the action by karma yoga, your emotion by bhakti yoga, will by Raja yoga, by meditation, and your reasoning by jnana yoga. So those who have come to that state of pursuing the purposes of life. And how do they pursue? By all the four in integral form. They are led by God to the highest goal. It is in relation to those souls that Gita has made the statement later, Upadrashtanumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. God is watching over you. And we begin to understand how does God watches over you. The role of your conscience. Whenever, if you are spiritually sensitive, some error is committed by you, nobody else has to tell you it is an error. You yourself know it. It pinches your conscience. If you are spiritually sensitive, you will listen to the pinch and act accordingly. You will not do that which pinches your conscience. And if you follow it, your voice of your conscience becomes clearer, louder. It's an allegorical way of speaking. If you are going the negative way, then conscience tries to say something. but you don't listen. The voice of conscience gradually begins to develop a whisper stage, and even that becomes drowned, so as if conscience doesn't exist. So God, who is guiding you in the form of your own conscience, God's guidance becomes completely restricted. God wants to guide you, He is saying, but as if you have put muck in your ears. Ignorant are unable to understand me who manifests in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the great Lord of all beings. So let me relate to you. Upadrashtanumantacha. First, God is the overseer. Second point, when you do things that are positive, a divine inspiration comes as if patting on your back. Wonderfully, you have done it. Called Anumanta. Upadrashtanumantacha. As you become more aligned, more integrated day by day, you view yourself as a channel in the hand of God. Therefore, God is your all in all. You are not dependent upon anything else but God alone. So it's called Bharta. He is your Lord, Master, the source of your life. And as you further advance, He is the enjoyer. All through you thought that you were enjoying it. But ask yourself, put in a very simple way, in your dream you are enjoying waffles, pizzas, and lots of things to enjoy. And you have a whole plan. But when you wake up, it was you on the bed who was behind all your dream experience. So the dream subject was an illusion, it's not a reality. In dream, what you are is a dream subject, not real. Similarly, what you think as your life, this is me, and this is how I have lived, and this is my whole diary about the autobiography, etc. All that is in the realm of Maya. The real I am, the real enjoyer behind the Maya, is God alone. So He is the enjoyer. But He is the enjoyer doesn't mean that He is addicted to so many enjoyments. It simply means Sun is the enjoyer behind all the display of reflected lights. Each reflected light dances and has a whole role of so many things. But who is the enjoyer behind all that? The Sun. And that God is Maheshwara, God of gods. 12th verse. Moghasha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasa rakshasima suri chaiva prakritim mohinim shita. Endowed with vain desires, vain karmas, vain knowledge, devoid of discrimination and wisdom, they continue to be deluded, possessed by the nature of demons and asuras. There are two types of souls. The majority souls are under the grip of ignorance, but smaller quantity of souls, they are following the path of dharma. For those souls, I have already explained the role of God, those who are following the path of dharma. But other souls, endowed with vain desires, there are a lot of dreams in every mind. Every desire is a kind of dreaming, having a dream to be fulfilled. But all these dreams are pointing to that which does not exist. So your dreams turn towards falsehood. It is like instead of following Sat, you are following Asat. So as long as Asat remains the highlight to pursue, your desires are vain desires. All these are statements that you have to understand in a more mature way. Mature way means no one can suddenly move away from unqualified aspirant to a state of perfectly qualified aspirant in one step. There are degrees, there are gradual movement, progressive movement. And every movement is a shaky movement. And shakiness is perfectly normal. If you are imagining that your progress will be just a straight line, so within a month, you go on multiplying and come to the highest goal. But that is not so. There will be constant challenging situations. Each challenging situations allows your mind to understand certain faults that you did not know before, to discover certain strengths that you didn't understand before. So, by shaking, developing a situation where suddenly you succeed beyond imagination, but then suddenly you lose everything that you have by a hurricane. And I'm just giving you allegorical, and a mind deals with gain and loss, pleasure and pain. But the same movement of experiencing pleasure and pain becomes purposeful if you are strong at your root level. A tree shakes. If it is weak at root level, the shaking will break the tree down completely. But the healthy tree also needs to shake. But each shaking is allowing the tree to have strong roots. So that is the subtle insight behind sadhana, Godward movement. And the whole description is vain desire means vain desires, your desiring mind is corrected by bhakti yoga. Desires are handled by love. Anything you desire, you love the object you desire. If you could get love experience profoundly, your desires will be under your control or go beyond your desires. In other words, controlling desires is bhakti yoga. Controlling your karmas, karma yoga. Controlling your will is dhyana yoga, meditation. And controlling your understanding, intellectual grasp, that's jnana yoga. All these four must be pursued in a rhythmic fashion. Just like in a veena, strings play the role. But the same strings that could bring melody bring such sound that brings melody. Maladi. Joking. Melody is Sanskrit term mala plus adi. Mala is impurities, etc. So, two pictures are given. One picture is pursuing the path with integral movement. So, from discordance coming to a harmonized, melodious state. Another one becoming more and more disintegrated. If you are disintegrated and you continue in that direction, then you are possessed by the nature of demons and asuras. Use the two terms. Rakshasas are the worst. The moment you see them, you can recognize them. Their nose is beyond proportion. Tooth coming out, horn on the head. The Rakshasas are much more evidently negative. But asuras can delude you. Asuras can come in a very wondrous form, act looking like angels. And they may turn out suddenly as demons. You see in the Krishna Leela, how Putana comes to give milk, nurse Krishna, and suddenly turns into a giant demon. So all those allegorical descriptions are given in the scriptures. So now we come to conclude on today the importance of integration. Continue your sadhana but with patience, perseverance, and with increasing surrender to God. You are being led by God within you. And be blessed with Shakti, inner strength, Bhakti, devotion, and Mukti, liberation. And with this I will be concluded. Hold on. Om. Prayer for the shower of Karunamaya Ras, grace over all. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukuma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.